So, being Christian means easier life, right? Not necessarily. So let's talk about it. Life can sometimes be a roller coaster, and we get it.
So tune into The Walk, where we'll explore the modern-day Christian journey by addressing challenging questions and trending topics faced by young adults today. No topic is off limits.
It's season 2. Oh, yeah, it's season 2. It's a new season of The Walk. We are so glad to be back. First episode of a new year, 2024. Man, we had a little break. We needed a break. It was nice. It was nice. After like homecoming in October, and then we did another show in November, but we need a little bit of a break, but we're back. And we have a good season. I feel like we're going to be kicking off with a banger today. Yeah.
We'll see.
Feeling good? We'll see. We are. We're so happy that you are here. My name is Shane. I have the co-host over here, Andre. And we have some special guests today. We have Drew and we have Kaye. For those that don't know, they're not shy. They are a couple. They are part of our Mount Zion family, and we're happy to have them here. Mount Zion is like the home of the walk. They're the leaders of family and women's, well, Kaye's women's ministries, naturally.
Not him.
Right, not him. But yeah, so we're so glad to have them here with us. So we're going to have a really good show today. But before we begin, we always say, you can't be selfish. You've got to share this with somebody. Like, don't wait till you're watching and be like, oh, that was good. And then your friends and family, right. Have them join in the conversation. We want to know where you're watching from. I see Jody in the chat. Hey, Jody. I see Danielle. She said, hey, y'all. Hey. I see Naomi.
Oh, hi,
Naomi. She says season 2, woohoo. Yeah. So again, make sure you share this with your friends and family. We got a good show for you today. So before we go further, we're going to go ahead and have a word of prayer, all right? So dear Jesus, we just want to thank you so much for the opportunity of having a week this week. We might have had some highs, some lows, but we're here at the end of the week where we can just take a pause and rest. I pray that as we go into this show, that you will give us good conversation. May it be productive, life-giving, and just answers to even maybe prayers that we've been praying, God. I pray that you be with each person watching and their needs. You know what they're in need of, so I pray that you just speak accordingly as you always do. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
All right. Oh, Gavin, watching from Rodeo Day, celebrating in Osceola County. You know what?
Osceola County.
Osceola County.
Those little holidays.
Right.
Yes.
I was telling my
It was
coworker today, or no, yesterday, I was like, oh, you have a child in Orange County, so you probably have, like, they have President's Day off. I was like, not in Kissimmee. We got Rodeo Day. He's like, what's that? I was like, well, Kissimmee used to be right, we don't really know. We just know it's a day off. Right. But I was like, Kissimmee used to be a cow town. Trees, cows and trees. And I assume back then they had the rodeo.
Yeah,
and, instead of President's Day, they had Rodeo Day. So that means the fair is here, all right? So we used to go to the fair and everything. That's just taking me all the way back. But yes, it is Rodeo Day here in Kissimmee. So we're going to start off with testimonies. So I'm sure some stuff has happened this week that you can just testify to the goodness of God. And we invite you on the live to tell us as well. You can drop down something in the comment. Let us know what you are thankful for this week. But anything y'all want to shout out God for this week?
I am thankful for Rodeo Day. We had the day, or I had the day off, the kids had the day off. It was a nice end to my week. It was excellent. A great way to bring in the Sabbath.
I wasn't happy for Rodeo Day because Kaye's kids are eating all the food in the house.
Kaye's kids.
That's all right, they're mine. I'll take them.
But it's been a great week. It's been a great week. I'm just thankful that the Sabbath is finally here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're thankful for the Sabbath.
Like as a kid, Friday was like, oh man, like, nah, I can't do this and that. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Friday, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll say I'm thankful. This week has been a real challenging one. I feel like every week is challenging for me at work. But this week I feel like I was able to keep in better spirits throughout it. Like wasn't going through too many like highs and lows. It was like pretty steady.
Oh, thank God for that.
Which
Okay.
was really good. Yeah.
We'll take that.
I could do with that.
We'll take that. This week, week 4 at a new job, I could say, more or less. So it's been going pretty smooth so far. So I'm thankful for that. Whenever you have a change of a season, it could be rough getting used to things. So I'm thankful that as of now, everything's going, pretty smooth. So we are thankful. We are thankful.
It's exciting time.
Well, I don't see any testimonies in the chat. I'm going to just, Dre, your mic.
Yes.
They say you got to put it up.
Is it
We always
are we
have
good
this
now?
problem with you.
Can
you
Shane
put his mic
asked me.
up?
He said, "Which mic is the curse mic that you always use?" I said, "No, it doesn't matter which mic I use. That's the curse mic. It changes
What
every
mic do you
time."
have?
I have one this
One.
time.
Okay. That's usually the one I have. So it is Dre, guys. It's not the mics, it's Dre. All right, so I know it could be a little bit to type your testimony. So, if you type it and we move on from the section, we'll still go back to it. But this week we have an interesting word on the street. TikTok, it's like that rabbit hole that you could be on there for 5 minutes or you could be on there for 2 hours and it's bad. And I've got this a couple times. Do you think it's time that you take a break? Comes on the screen.
Oh, it says
it
that?
tells you. Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
funny. Wow.
And so that's usually when I decide, okay, you know what? I better put this down and go to
Your
bed.
phone's passive aggressive. Like, I think
Right.
it's maybe you want to get off of here a little bit.
And I'm wondering, like, what's the strategy for TikTok even in that? Like, you'd think they'd want me on their app, but maybe it's psychology, like keeping you wanting more. Like, you can't get tired of it if they tell you to go to sleep. I don't know, But either way, in one of the videos I was watching, I'm basically asking the question of this. Are we just doppelgangers? Are we just doppelgangers? So we're going to play a video. I want you to count how many of these things you did growing up.
Okay.
I want you to count. And at home, I want you to count and tell us in the chat how many of these things you did. So make sure you're counting. Be honest. You don't have to tell us which ones you did, obviously, but just count, all right? We're going to go ahead and show that video right now.
Come on. Come on. Yes. Yeah. You lost.
So how many are we at?
All of the above.
All of the above.
That's the truth.
Every single one.
That's the
What?
truth.
Every single one.
Every single one.
All right, so every single one. It's every single one.
All
for you?
but two.
All but
All
two.
but two.
Okay, what were the two for you? Do you
That I
remember?
didn't do?
Yeah.
It was the marker on the nose.
I do that every week.
I still do it.
There was one where I don't remember which one it was, but definitely the marker. And I was like, I didn't do that. Oh, the thing with the light.
Oh,
You had to-
what?
Oh,
See if you can keep it in the middle.
Yeah,
Man.
no.
Okay.
No.
Has anyone been successful at that? I have not.
I think I have.
I think I've-
You can't do it with that type of switch.
Oh, okay,
But you
okay.
can do it
Yeah,
with,
with the
these.
yeah, with
Yeah,
those
you
ones
gotta
that you
find that
can't.
healthy
You
little.
just gotta find it.
Oh my God.
They just and then
I think it's a male female thing.
What about you? Oh, okay, so for you guys, which one is the one that you thought maybe you were the only one?
Definitely that raindrop one. When I saw that, I was like, oh, wow, this is crazy. Because I was thoroughly entertained in the car. Like, yeah, my parents, yeah, go inside, you go ahead and shop. I'm going to stay in the car. And I'm just, which one's going? It was amazing.
Actually, I used to play with my brother with that one. I think for me was the legs up in the air and a little bicycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was mine. I think I did all but one, which Florida, we don't have those. I guess it was like a heater, right?
Oh, yeah.
the
So
radiator?
the radiator, yeah.
But you do that with anything else?
What would the equivalent be?
I don't know, something high. I feel like
Like the stove?
okay, that's kind of wild. I feel like
I mean, I've tried.
you wouldn't last too long on the stove.
I don't know what the equivalent is, but yeah, I think. Now you saw the dictionary word, and I was telling Andre, I didn't know if I was gonna. What's the word I was trying to think of?
Disclaimer.
I didn't know if I was
Yeah.
gonna put a disclaimer, but I was like, come on, everybody's done this. Like, if there's like a word that maybe you first learned as a kid, and just like, oh, let me look up this word right quick, and that's what he did if you couldn't read it on the screen. But we have some answers. Well, first, Jody's giving God thanks for supplying my needs in so many ways. Amen.
Amen.
So Vera says she has 10.
Oh, mercy.
Danielle says she has 11. Linda says she has 12. There was 12, right?
I
don't
stopped
even
counting.
know.
I was like, yeah. I
Linda,
don't know.
are there any are there any that you didn't do? So we can know how many. CJ, all of them. That's funny. Jody, 9. Danielle said the last one with the feet in the air was so Yeah, I feel like that's a key part of upper body strength.
Yeah.
I like it.
If you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done that in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
I might have to try it when I go
I'm
home.
gonna hurt myself. That's what he said. I think I'm gonna hurt myself.
I feel like I'm in for a rude awakening of my age. Like, oh,
Much.
okay.
Lee, did you count? No. He said he did all the above. All right, so I think that's everybody. All right, cool. So today we have a topic which, if you saw advertised this week, it was called The One or Run. The One or Run. The One or Run. All right, so we have a couple that, as our team was talking about this topic, we're like, man, what couple do we want to bring on the show to kind of like take us through this topic? And your names came up.
Oh, wow.
So this is not just a Shane thing or Andre thing. You could thank the AY team
Oh, thanks,
for the
AY team.
recommendation of your names. So there should be some pictures of y'all coming up. We want to show the marital bliss and what that looked like. You gotta put something in the chat, guys, when you see their pictures.
Mercy.
Show them some love.
Show them some love.
Mercy. Mercy. Mercy.
Oh yeah.
The big family.
Yeah.
Mercy.
Mercy. God is good. That's
Yes,
what you
he
need,
is.
right?
Yes, he
That's what
is.
you need.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. So we have Kay and Drew here. So, just starting off, how long have you all been together? This is usually a trick question for couples. And
Together married or together?
Oh, give
She
us
didn't
both.
fall for the trick. Dang it.
I'm not going to answer for him because, every day is a brand new day for him. So we've been married 17 years. It was 17 years on
Last
February
week, wasn't
3rd.
it? Was that last week?
Week before last. Week before last on the 3rd. We celebrated 17 years.
Wow.
We've been together 19 years.
Is that right? Really? 19?
Yes. 19 years together.
19
Oh,
years
that's right.
together.
Yes, right. That's true.
Yeah.
Mercy. That's like,
So the response is already coming in. Vera said, "Oh, Brian Hunt's like, it's the mercy for me." I feel like there's going to be plenty more. I'm telling you. Jody says, "Beautiful family." So 17 years married, 19 years together. So we're calculating about 2 years dating. We're going to come back to that, right? So would you say it was love at first sight?
I'll let him answer first
Okay.
on that one.
I mean, how honest we being? Like Club Shay Shay we're honest, or
We got
We're
to.
gonna
We
be
got
honest.
to.
We gotta
We're
keep it
gonna be
real.
honest.
okay, all right. Honestly, it was definitely love at first sight. I did not believe in love at first sight, but it was definitely love at first sight. I'd never experienced that before.
And you said experience that. So what was that experience for you?
Wow, that's a good question. All right, for me was love. To me, I can only speak on my behalf because you always heard about love at first sight. You watch cartoons and the eyes turn into hearts. You know.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I dated many, talked to a lot of people in my past, and you know, you see someone, or you might like someone, or oh man, I'm infatuated with this person, whatever. But this was deep because this automatically, when I saw this person, I was like, yo, I saw my future. It was like a spiritual thing. I was like talking to God, like, are you serious? Is this the one? I was like, is this really happening? So it was something that you're not really in control of. I couldn't trick myself into what it was. It was clear that this was something that I've never experienced before meeting this person. And this is before I even talked to the person.
Wow. Wow. So, Kay, what was it about you?
I'm just amazing. I'm not joking. Because we've been together for so long and we've had this conversation before, for him it was a spiritual thing. He had been praying about that. For me, it was not.
I mean, I'm
love.
not praying about you. I'm just,
I mean, but God gave it to you still. So, but for me, it was not love at first sight because I was in a relationship when I first met
Oh, one
Andrew.
of these
So
stories. Okay.
loyalty, I'm a loyal person, so it was not. Of course, Andrew was attractive, and I thought he was attractive, but it was not like love at first sight for me.
Gotcha.
Wow. Okay.
I was not praying at the time. Just put that out there.
Actually, we were both in a relationship.
And the plot thickens.
Wow. This is the first 5 minutes. All right. So
no.
both of you were in a relationship. At some point, you see. Okay. Well, you know what? That's my next question. So we can go there.
Yeah.
How did you meet?
Exactly.
Okay, so I'll answer that question. Interestingly enough, Andrew's brother was dating she's my sister-in-law now, but we were best friends. We grew up together. So for her college graduation, I went to her college graduation, and he came with his brother to the college graduation, and that's how we met.
Okay. So that's how you met.
Yes.
All right. So is it at that meeting point that you're talking about the love at first sight, or was it something later?
The love at first sight happened, well, make it short. I came with my brother to his girlfriend's graduation. I did not want to go because I was ready. My mind was wrecked with the relationship I was in. I was dealing with that, and I just knew it wasn't where I was supposed to be. And so I just wanted to get away. When we got to my brother's girlfriend at the time's apartment where she's getting ready for church, I saw Kay, and she was on the floor, like fixing someone's hair or doing something. And when I saw her eyes, it was at that point, and she turned around, and she smiled at me. And I was just like, you know, I was like, you're smiling at me, I don't even know you. And then I walked back to the car, and it was that moment that I was like, that was interesting. But the love at first sight happened, I would say, moments later in church. I wasn't spiritual then, in a sense, but I did pray to God about that, something, and it connected right in church where I saw her reading the Word of God. And that's when it changed.
Interestingly enough, there was light shining on me, like from the church windows, one of those older churches with the stained glass window. And I was so annoyed by it. I was like, I have to move. But for him, he was like, that was it. It was the light shining on me at the time.
You could not make this up, guys. Listen, like this is sad. I'm not like, yo. And that's exactly what happened. Because I told you, remember I said a second ago, I was like, Lord, are you serious? She was standing and is sitting in the church. The pastor called for the word, and she turned directly to the book. She didn't go to the glossary. She didn't go to the
Table of
index to fix.
contents. Table of contents.
Is that what it is?
That's what it's called. The
That's
table
it.
of contents.
That's it. Either way, she didn't cheat. She went directly to that she knew was in the New Testament she was supposed to be. And I said, oh, so this person knows the word for real. And the light came in, and with him, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Like a dove came down
Right.
from heaven, descended around Kay. Wow,
Legit,
wow, wow.
that's what happened.
Wow. Anytime you hear any of these stories, you realize, like, wow, I see where they get inspiration for movies from.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, oh, that didn't really
It's like,
happen.
oh, that's
It's just
cheesy
like,
or like something like that. No, it's-
sometimes that's how it works out. All right, so I guess maybe you can clarify if you didn't fully answer this yet. Who took the first shot? Like the official. Okay, not even thinking about it. Okay.
So, like I said, both of us, we were in relationships. However, Andrew was very intentional to say that it wasn't that we were friends. It was, I think that you're very attractive. And initially, that was our first conversation over the phone. We were living in 2 separate states at that time. So I wasn't thinking anything was going to come of it. I was like, okay, well, yes, I am an attractive person. So, but he was very intentional with, this is what I want. I was more like, no, this is probably not the way to go. But he was very intentional in what he wanted.
So you're saying intentional as in persistent?
He was not persistent. He didn't annoy me with the phone calls. But on the very first call, he told me,
These are my
yes,
intentions,
I find you attractive. I think that you're very nice. I would like to see, a friendship, but just know that it's not a friendship that will be buddies and pals.
Right.
I'm hoping that it'll go somewhere. So that was from the very first time.
Now, at this point, are you still dating someone else?
Yes.
Bold move, my guy. Bold move.
Wait, both of you?
Yes.
Super bold move.
Okay, so let me ask this question. This is not on the script. And I've had a feeling we don't even need these questions, but so, Drew,
Oh, it's not.
with this type of story, because obviously it worked out and it seems like it's for the good, right? Were you in something you weren't supposed to be longer than you should have? And if you weren't in it, the rest of the story would have been the same. So then when you saw Kay and you wanted to go to this next step, you would have been in the clear relationally. Do you feel that at all? Or I'm just trying to figure out, for the people that are watching and even for myself, would God do that? Where you're still in a relationship and tell you like, oh, this is your woman, go let her know.
All right. That's a really good question. I'm gonna answer as quick and concise as I can. For me, what'd you say?
Amen.
All right. Well, number one, like I said, I was not really following God like I was supposed to. I was just young, career oriented, doing my thing and just loving doing it. And I was in a relationship with someone that was very appealing to worldly eyes. But I was raised spiritually. So even though I wanted to be something else, there was a draw in me that was pulling me a different direction, and I hated every minute of it. I hated I wouldn't say duplicity. I hated the confliction. And so I knew I had to make a decision. And I knew that if I stayed with this person, even though my mom did not really particularly like that person, my mother gave me the leeway where she didn't pressure me to make the right decision. I think she knew enough that if she pushed it, it would have made me the other person more attractive. Or the situation, not the person, but the situation more attractive, or rebel, But so I wrestled with that, and I realized, long story short, honestly, it was a spiritual thing. I said, God, rip this person from me, because I could not get away from that person. I just knew this relationship wasn't for me, and I was like, Lord, and I did not want to get in a relationship. Part of her story was inaccurate. We didn't try to. I didn't say like we can be boyfriend and girlfriend or anything like that. I said I like. It sounded like you were going that way. It was more like I really like you. I would like to know you, and that it was basically a friend type of thing. Because in my mind, I was still with this person, and I needed to break free. I just knew the person that I met was someone that's beyond anything that I imagined. And so, but I'm not the type of person. So I was like, Lord, help me. And that day I fell on my face. I've never prayed like that before. I fell on my face on the ground, a grown man, firefighter. I turned off all the lights in my room, laid on the floor, and I literally did something I never did before. I cried because the hole that relationship had on me was intense. I was like, God, just get this away. If it's not for me, rip it from me. And it was that time my brother came in like a little minutes later, and he's like, hey man, I gotta go to Dover, Delaware for my girlfriend's graduation. Osei, my brother, my other cousin, we call brothers, could not come because he has to work. Can you please go with me? I said, Max, I will not go with you. I don't want to. He said, come on, man, I don't want to be in a hotel by myself. And so I went with him, and that's how it all happened. And then when I got back, God inspired the fact that, there's life beyond this, even though you might not see it, but he just gave me a glimpse. And so I know definitely it was God led because it was beyond my thinking or comprehension. And the intention was not really to get with her, but it just gave light that there's other things beyond this. And it was just enough to give me the faith to just power through and rip away from something that had a strong hold over.
Wow.
I got you. Wow. Well, first of all, God is fast.
Yes.
I mean, that's quick.
Yeah.
That's quick. Let's say that.
Very quick.
Man.
Wow.
I hope I answered the question.
No, you did. You
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
Concise.
crystal,
You did good.
crystal clear. And look at that positive affirmation. We love it.
How old
go
were
ahead.
you guys when you met? Like, what age are we talking about
When I
here?
met light skin, man, we got.
Paper bag brown.
Oh, now you are
Bag
Florida,
brown,
Florida
okay.
sun. Okay, we glue in the dark when I
Okay,
met you.
okay.
All right, so I was 28 when we got married, and according to Kay's math, that means we met when I was 26. So I say around 25 is what we met.
Okay.
And I had just graduated from college the week before, so I was 22.
Okay.
That was a trick. Now you can calculate their age.
I have no problem. I am 42 years old. I have no problem telling everyone I'm proud of the age that I am.
That is funny. We have some comments. So Brenda Hunt says, happy Sabbath family. Love this story. Vera Louie says, that was a heaven came down and glory filled my soul moment with the light. We got do we have a film offer here? It says, Philemon said, it's a beautiful story for a short movie. If you're down, let me know. I studied film production at Full Sail University.
Wow.
CJ,
Hit us
I was
up.
just about to ask that. This Sabbath tea is great. And Daniel said, good question. So, yeah, that's, wow. Okay, do you want to go with I know you saw an article.
Okay, yeah, we can go into that part. Yeah, so I saw an article that basically talked about the 5 stages in a relationship. So I kind of wanted to know you guys' thoughts on these stages. Do you think it's accurate? Like, what would you say your timeline has been if you've gone through these stages? Like, I was in this stage for this long, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, basically thoughts like that. If you think that stage didn't really exist for us, or if there was an additional stage.
Gotcha.
So let me tell you what the stages were. The first stage was the merge, what they call the merge, which is the honeymoon phase. You guys are intertwining and you're like, everything is great, The second stage is the doubt and denial. You're starting to notice things about the other person because you're spending a lot of time together, and it's like, okay, didn't really realize that. Okay, little flags are popping off in your head. The third stage is kind of a continuation of that second one, where it becomes a little bit more real to you. It's got disillusionment. So now you're like, these little doubts and denials part. It's like, okay, is this something I can actually do? Is this something I can deal with? You're noticing like things that you're like, we always fight about this. This is a issue for us. The fourth stage is the decision stage. So it gets to a point where like, okay, I've got to make a decision. Am I going to live with this, or am I going to correct this, that type of thing? And then the fifth stage is wholehearted love. You've decided to stick it out. You've corrected certain issues. You've, addressed things that need to be addressed. And now you've overcome that hump. And now you're in the wholehearted love part.
Wow.
So you're gonna have to go step by step.
Yeah.
Because we forgot the first one.
Yeah, so start with
The honeymoon.
Honeymoon.
So I got all 5 stages, and I would say that we've gone through all
Okay.
5 stages, and we're still, progressing. It's not you're married and then it's
You
over.
just stop. Yeah.
But initially, our relationship was a long distance relationship. So
How long distance are we talking?
he lived in Virginia and I lived in Florida.
Oh,
So I started
okay.
my career here.
I imported her.
I'm sorry.
So the honeymoon phase is definitely there because everything was over the telephone. We would visit every now and then, but definitely honeymoon. You only saw the good stuff. My hair was always done. It was
okay.
always done at that point. Once what was stage 2 again?
Doubt and denial.
So that was definitely after we got married.
Okay.
Because now, you're full time with this person. There's no, I'm getting on the plane and going back home.
Right.
You are home. So and it's just like, can I do this? This is tough. And to anyone getting married, I would say you never know what you're getting into. Even if you've lived with that person for years, being married is something totally
different.
And you realize who you are as a person. So for me, I wanted things my way. And then same thing for him. He wanted things his way. And I was just like, well, his way is not my way. So we got to pick and choose.
Right.
So you go through that. Can I really do this for the rest of my life? Because
Right.
I'm 25 when I got married, have a whole long life to live. Can I do that? Stage 3 was
Disillusionment. So like the crescendoing of that doubt and denial to, these are big issues. Can we overcome this?
I think so. I think throughout our relationship, and of course he'll give his opinion on that, we
Yeah,
did
right.
go through that where we came to a point where it was, are we going to continue on this journey or just say, we've had enough. We gave it a good college
Yeah.
try and we're done. Obviously, we chose to stick it out, but we did get to a pinnacle of our relationship where we had to consider if this was what we wanted to do for the rest of our lives. And then I think at this point, we're at the wholehearted, I would say so. Well, I would say so. I know what he's going to say. But I think we are, or I think I am at that point
Gotcha.
because the selfishness that I had at the very beginning of the relationship, to have it my way, I've learned that there's power in submission. There's power in listening to what that I know that's a dirty
That's a
word.
word.
Nobody
I
wants to
was
say
about
that
to
word.
say the
Be careful. But as I submit to my husband, he submits to me as well. So there's power in that. And so I took some of my power back by submitting, and then both of us definitely submitting to God and giving some of these things over to him, because at one point I was just like, listen, if it's going to work, it's going to work. And if it's not, then I'm young enough to probably move on and find another way. Now I'm an old duck. There's nowhere that he can go.
Nobody wants you. Your 3 kids.
So
They going nowhere.
and I think that was his ploy all along. But I believe that we've gone through all those stages.
That is funny. All right, Drew, it's your turn.
Okay, so what was the first stage?
First one, honeymoon, the merge.
Oh, man, break that down, man.
So the very beginning of the relationship, when we first
Everything
said that we were
is
together.
roses and sunshine.
You know what? It was
Awesome.
it was
Tell the people it was
it was
awesome.
awesome, and let me tell you why. The long distance relationship did something that's different than most of us do not face. It made you, it forced you to connect on a mental and
Sure.
a spiritual level.
Yep.
There's no physical contact. There's no, let me take you out to dinner and Google Eye, all that stuff, and all that stuff. I mean, you really found this person fascinating, but you know what, you can't literally afford to go flying to Florida every minute because you're on duty and you're working and she's working, and it forced us to connect, call at certain times when it's appropriate because she has to work, and that was a big deal because she had things going on in her life. So when she had things going on in her life, it made me want to fight for her time. It made me want to work for her time. She didn't call me because she felt obligated. She answered my call because she had a moment to do it. And it made me feel great because I never had to fight for any woman's time. And so I enjoyed the hunt. The hunt made it all worth it. You know, do you really want to do a layup on the dude or you want to dunk on him? You're gonna dunk on the guy. You don't want him to just let you down the lane. So I'm just saying. I was saying, analogies is poor. Okay, forgive me. You gonna rewind that? Oh, okay. All right. So I enjoyed fighting for her time. I love the fact that she had things going on in her life, and I wanted to add to it, and I want her to add to mine. I was like, man, she's a great addition. So that was 1 and 2.
Gotcha.
What was number 2 again? Just make sure.
Doubt and denial.
Doubt and denial.
Oh, doubt and denial. Doubt was after year 1 and year 2 of marriage. And I would say this to every person. The first 2 years was so difficult because you got 2 independent individuals have to recognize it now that they have to release independence. Anybody, let me tell you something, that you got 2 independent people who recognize what marriage is, and there's no independence in marriage.
Yep.
Because you have to release here and you got to release here, and then you got to recognize you must make each other one. So it's not organic. It's not something that just happens naturally. It has to be conscientious. It's got to be something like, yo, we need to make this and find a healthy way of doing it. So that was a really big deal. And so the first 2 years, there was a lot of arguing. Kay and I don't argue. Even to this day, in 17 years, we don't argue. We might not like what with the other person, of
course.
I might not like you today. You know what I'm saying? But, I'm still going to take the trash out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still going to sleep in that bed. Right? Sleeping on no couch. I paid for that mattress. I'm sorry. So you had to learn and that's when you realize about marriage is that it's really not a contract, it's a covenant.
Yeah.
You have to recognize, like, for me, and she said something about submission. Let me tell you something about that word. Submission is the most emotional thing you can do. We fought in the first 2 years. We argued, and she's so Jamaican.
Nothing wrong with that, though.
Okay, and so I'm Black Hispanic, so you already know we got a white penis. I'm just kidding. I don't hit nobody. No, but I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Hands down. And so what happened is we just had 2 different things. But you know what she did? She did something that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. She stopped fighting. She did that submission thing. I thought it was some type of mind Jedi trick thing, and then she submitted. And her submission inspired my submission. And when she did that, it was at that point that I released all self. And it was at that point as a husband that I no longer had selfishness in me. I can legit say that. Is that everything is about her. From that year 2, everything's been about her. And by making everything about her, it became more about me.
So I'm going to interject right there, because what caused me to submit was the way that he pursued me in the very beginning. He made it very clear that he was interested and that was what he wanted. Maybe not me, myself, but whatever he was looking for was what he wanted in a partner. So knowing that, and then the first time he did ask me out to date, I said no. And he still was, it took a while, I had to cajole him back, but with that happening in the beginning and knowing, me being settled in my mind that this was going to be the person that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, or the rest of his life. At that point, I was just like, if this is what I know, then stop fighting. It's not worth the fight, because you already know what you knew what you got into. You're in it. Just stop.
Her submission made me submit. What was number 4 and 5 now?
So deciding.
The decision was, I did not grow up with a mother and father. Okay, I grew up with just a mom. And so I said, look, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to give it my all. The only example I had, don't call me naive, I'm just serious. The only example I had of what a man is supposed to be is how Christ was. And the Bible said, wives, submit to your husbands as Christ submits to the church. It was an order of things. It never stopped from me when it said, wives, submit to your husbands. The verse doesn't end that way. It ends with, as Christ already did.
Right.
So that means I was supposed to be her rug from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So I already was behind the ball. So when she submitted, I was realizing, my goodness, the guilt fell over me, because she was very, very Jamaican, and she actually let everything go.
That must have been real hard.
And I was just like, yo, I got to, and it was at that point it was over. It was no longer myself. I recognized that Christ gave his all. I'm gonna give my life. So I didn't, that was it. And what was 5?
Wholehearted love. Yep.
That was it.
That was it. So you guys just sneak little things in as you're talking. So I'm like, I caught another one. I'm just like, wait. So even after some of this, he pursued you, and you said no.
Yes.
And then you said something after that. I don't remember the word you used.
Cajoled.
Yeah.
To control him back. I caught it too.
So can you kind of describe that a little
Tell the
bit?
truth, Kay. Tell the truth.
Okay. So.
Not truth, tell the truth.
Okay, so this is what happened. So we were talking, and I went to visit my friend who ended up marrying his brother, and I saw him again, and we had been talking over the phone. And during that visit, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And at that time, I had just let go of the other relationship, and I wanted to be single for a little bit longer. I wasn't ready to get into a relationship. So I said no. And then he didn't leave right away. We stayed talking for a few minutes, but he did leave. And when he left, I was like, why did you do that? So I went to visit my sister, because it's about an hour's drive from Virginia to Maryland. And my sister was there, and she was like, why did you say no? And I said, well, I want to be single. She was like, but what's the point? She was like, if you don't like him, then you don't like him. But if you're saying no and you're hoping that he'll hang on forever until you say yes, that's not fair to him. And then my best friend who married his brother was just like, you're an idiot. What are you doing? You need to call him. You need to talk to him. And I fought with that, because I had to fight with, do I want to stay single? Knowing that this is a person that everything that I was looking for in a husband, I knew that he had it. Or if I wanted to be single for a little bit longer, I had to choose at that point. So then I did call, and I said, hey, you should come and visit me up in Maryland. I'm only going to be here for a couple more hours. He was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to come. And then
That's the
You
first
hurt
time
him
you
bad.
That's the first time she done America. Yeah, I wish she said.
So, but then my best friend, who, if she's watching, thank you very much, she was like, no, let's all go. So then they're bugging him in Virginia, and I'm calling saying, hey, you should come. And he did come. And I was like, hey, maybe you should ask me that question again. He was like, what question? I'm not asking you any questions again. But eventually he did. And I said yes. And then we were in a relationship from that point.
So Jody has, actually, I think you should say the comment.
What'd Jody say?
I mean,
You're
this
funny.
is your native. This is
No,
your
I don't
native
really
tongue,
talk like
man.
that. She said, talk the things, Kay.
Rohan said I would have missed the opportunity because I wouldn't have gone. So this is
You
the
see
thing,
how
right?
God works, though.
And that's the hard thing. Because, you know, there's certain people that are persistent after rejection, and then there's other people where you reject me one time,
That's it.
that's it. And, you know, he was at the point where, you know, he wasn't just falling back into your,
Right.
well, you know, into your good graces, right?
Right.
He's just like, I don't think I'm asking that question again.
And rightfully so. I did deserve it. I deserved it.
Okay. So, you know what? I'm going to transition this question to kind of go along with this. Since at that point he shot his shot first, but you decided now that you want him, is it appropriate? Is it cool? Is it good? Should more women do it? Shoot their shots.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I think the relationships that last the longest are the ones where men pursue. Just because in my experience, if there is no hunt, then the relationship over time to me is not strengthened. I do believe that it is the man's job to go after. Now, I'm not saying that the lady shouldn't show that she's interested or to do what I did and say no first. That was not the best thing to do. But I think for longevity of the relationship, that if the man goes and does the hunting, then to me, it's a longer relationship. Has it worked for women who go and shoot their shot? Yes. But I always think that for me, in the back of my mind, it's always going to be, well, is it because of me, or does he really want to be here? Is he here because he really likes me, or just because, you know, he was being nice and saying yes to my request? Now, we argue about this. I'm just going to say that this is something that he doesn't agree
Why is
with.
Drew looking like this is the first time he's ever heard this question then?
He shouldn't.
Nah, we talked about this. I honestly disagree. I personally like the hunt, but not all dudes hunt the same way. And I don't think all women, like for example, Ruth put herself out there. Was it Ruth? Mm-hmm. Ruth put herself out there. And sometimes when you're bold and you see something that you want, you can go and get it in a classy way that you keep your dignity and stuff like that. But I think a lot of things that, this is my personal opinion. I'm touching the mic, don't touch it. What I think is when a woman pursues, that she has to recognize too that guys are weird, and she has to maintain her dignity, because a woman's dignity is a man's pride. It's a man's pride, and that's the woman he wants to lift up, because a lot of people say the woman lifts up the man, but it's really not the case. A man's job is to lift his family up and lift up his queen. And I've always was taught this, you can tell if a man's doing his job at home. At home is not just sex. It's not that. And it's not about money. But you know a man's doing a job when the woman is smiling, when she's happy. It's what you bring home. When you come through that door, what are you bringing with you? Are you just bringing money? You're bringing sex? What are you bringing? Are you bringing inspiration? Are you bringing positivity? And when you bring that, when you see a woman can't, I'm sorry, I'm being quick. A woman cannot fake love. A woman is a mirror. They can only reflect it. They can't bake it up. So if you're a dirtbag, they're gonna know real quick, because if she come to church or she in the work she did, that means you are raggedy. I'm just telling everybody. I'm just trying to tell somebody. That means you are raggedy. So that means a woman, like I said, women's are reflective. So if you're pouring into that love, she's gonna show it. She has no choice but to show it. So she's gonna be smiling. She's gonna be happy. And I'll be honest with you, I'm no saint, but that's how I test where I'm at weekly. Is like if Kay is happy, if she's smiling, you know, she's doing what he's doing. She's doing a lot of stuff. That means, okay, I ain't screwed up totally. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's how I do it. So just for women in that case, I'm no, she's touching me. She let me hurry up. Is that Yeah, she needs to maintain her dignity while she's pursuing. Because if she maintains her dignity, he won't look at her like a stripper. Y'all told me this is an honest guy.
No,
Nah,
it is. It
you
is.
are.
It is. It's in our intro.
A lot of what you said too, like, made me think. I'm like, man, I never thought about that, but I'm like, looking in my relationship, I'm like, a lot of the times when I'm like on some lows, I'm like, yeah, no, it shows in her too. And then like when I finally come around, I'm like, oh, okay, wow, you got some keys there, Drew. It's adding up.
Things are adding up.
Adding up. 2 plus 2
Math
does
is
equal
mathing.
4. Okay.
It's mathing. So let's stay on this for a little bit. Let's talk through some people that are single.
I thought you would be bored with us by now.
What? Y'all are.
Very interesting.
Y'all are interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want you both to think, when it comes to you as a man pursuing, what would you give to a guy and say, like, when you're pursuing a woman, this is what you need to remember? And then for you as the person receiving / being worth pursuing, what should you be presenting? So start thinking about that. But you, Drew, you can go first.
Oh, no, I can't go first.
Oh, okay, you got it, Kay? You can go.
Okay, so let's just put this out here. I'm always going to be the one that answers first because he's thinking about his answer because it's always longer than mine.
Oh, no, I'll give you that.
One thing that Andrew said that I think is what every woman should do is that you should have other things going on in your life. If I don't think Andrew would respect me as much if he were the only thing that I had going on in my life. When I started my career here, of course, I'm a brand new teacher. There's a lot of work that comes along with that.
For sure.
I joined the church community. I was very active in my church. So I wasn't always there to get the calls because back then there was no FaceTime and I didn't walk around with a cell phone like that. So I had things going on. I think that every woman should have things going on in their life. They should involve themselves in something that they're interested in. If they're introverts, find something. Extroverts, find something. Because if I constantly catered, I don't think the respect would have been there. So that's what I would say. Don't put your life on hold while you're waiting for someone to pursue you. Or even if someone is actively pursuing you, spend some time apart doing your own thing, being in things that are just interesting for you. Because even within our marriage, he has things that he does that he's interested in. There are some things that I do that I'm interested in. We're not always connected together, but there's still a connection between us. And that's what we had from the very beginning. So, ladies, have something else to do. Don't let them just be your whole life.
Repeat the question again. I got lost in what she was saying.
As you should.
She was right, but what was
I'm always right.
Always right. So basically, what would be some of the keys that you would tell to a guy on how he should pursue?
All right. Be very thoughtful. Don't waste her time. Listen, to be honest with you, a woman's time is precious. Don't build her up and not have a place for her. Show her what you're about. You know, be the best you and give that person a vision of where they could be, what you could be. I would definitely say don't go talking to someone if you don't see a future in it. And know that person on a different level. I mean, being honest with you, I tell this to a lot of young people where I came from. In Virginia, a lot of young people like, oh, you should touch me again. You tell me to shut up.
Trying to get you to be concise.
Okay. When you go on a date with a young woman, okay, a date should not be a restaurant. Okay, take them somewhere fun. Go bowling. Go skiing. Go playing pool. Go playing miniature golf. And then the second date should be another activity, fun, something good, so that when you get to a dinner time, should be the third or fourth date, you have something to talk about when you're at the table other than your past. You can talk about something that you've experienced together, and then you can laugh at each other. You can know each other on a different level, so much so that when it's time to get even deeper in conversations, you can then talk about your past and everything, and it's not the subject matter at the table. By building that up, and that's showing that person what you're about, keep sex away from it. It really is best for that for marriage. Those are fruits you definitely want to share when you're married, because I know it sounds old school, but it binds you on a level that you cannot match. It binds you. So know her, know him on that type of level. Don't go sitting at a stinking table eating food on date 1, 2, and 3. Save it for down the road. That's when you take her somewhere, and it better not be Burger King. Take her on a dinner cruise. Take
Can't
her
even be Cheesecake Factory.
cheesecake. Well, let me tell you. Listen, me. I see cheesecake prices. Okay, you can take it to Cheesecake Factory. If she has a problem with Cheesecake Factory, she's the wrong one for you. Okay, so dinner cruise. Then when it's time for dinner, make it really special. The whole point is build it up. Don't waste your time though.
Build it up.
Women's time is very precious. They don't got time to
That
waste.
makes sense.
I like that.
Yeah.
Fall in love with the process. That's what I did with you. Wow.
That's what I did with you. Look at where you're at now.
Winning, you know.
Well, we got comments. So
Oh boy.
I'm telling you, I think people are. It's y'all, because the comments, I'm like scrolling, like trying to make sure I don't miss things. Let's see. So what did I not read? Jody, let's see. The man have to pursue me exactly. Roron said, I'm that one-time rejection. No. Okay, great. You have a great day. I done pursued and gone after, and I'm just not with the games anymore. Danielle said, honestly, pride and embarrassment is insane because I'm not sure I would have been able to call. That's interesting. So even after she's the one that rejected, she wouldn't have been able to do what you did. Interesting. That's
It's
honest.
like, missed opportunity. Darn.
Melinda said spot on, Drew. We don't know when that was. I'm sorry. But you were spot on at some point. And Jody says, tell the truth, Drew. And Danielle said, a word, Drew. Okay.
Hey, man, he's giving the keys. Y'all fellas need to listen.
Melinda said,
good
that's the
stuff.
one. You could have just left us alone. So she's like, don't waste women's time. Jody double snap Drew. Jackie Hines said, great point, Andrew. Great point. Great conversation points. That's very interesting, because I think for the longest you hear that a first date would be like a restaurant or a coffee shop or something like that. But you're saying kind of flip it a little bit, start with an activity, build some memories, and then you have something to talk about.
And something to laugh about.
Do we want to talk about the spades game? Or
Let's
no?
go. Let's go.
Well,
It's already out there.
Before the spades disaster,
Listen, spades will ruin some
look,
friendships, man.
she wouldn't have had none of them light-skinned kids if that had happened. Listen, but there's one thing I'd say is the one thing I'm gonna say about dating, because I don't want anybody to misunderstand. Unless you're ready to get your heart torn apart, ripped apart, stepped on, spit on, stay out of the dating game. The dating game is not for the weak. You need to prepare yourself for that process.
How do you do that?
I'll tell you. That's a good question. First, understand that meeting your match is not going to be easy, but you got to be able to leave yourself open for rejection. You got to leave yourself open for, he's just not the one. She's just not the one, and you got to accept the signs that they tell you. You got to be prepared to be hurt. If you're scared to be hurt, stay out of the relationship game, because it comes with it. It's a risk. It's a risk of emotion. It's a risk of heart. And so until you're ready for your heart to be ripped and chewed up, chill out, get yourself together, like my wife said, get yourself involved in other things, get yourself in a healthy place so you can actually say, you know what, he's not for me. You know what, she might be pretty, but she's not for me. Oh, no, he looked like he beats people. No, I don't think so. Oh no, you know. So you got to be honest with yourself and prepare yourself. So I just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there.
No, love that.
Prepare yourself.
Let's hear spades now.
Okay, so on that weekend where we met each other, that night we all stayed together and we played spades. My best friend and I, we've been playing spades. Spade champion 1999, James Madison High School. However, I am...
Out to order. I
do not like to lose. I am a sore loser. I do not play a game if there's a chance of me losing. And he was new to the game of spades.
Oh. I'm not going to say, nah, you ain't going to embarrass me.
No, he was. I mean, as far as my friend and I, we had been playing for years. Mm-hmm. Of course, we partnered up, and then he was with someone else. And at first, we were losing. He wasn't a good player, but he happened to get a good hand every time. But he put down a spade when he had the suit in his hand. And everyone knows if you renege in a game of spades, then it's
a brawl.
So because I was losing and I don't like to lose, it was over from that point. I was like, I was loud. It was terrible. Oh, my Lord, forgive me. But I was like, you reneged. And I took the book and I slammed it on the floor. And I was like, that. And he, of course, now God had spoken to him earlier. And then, obviously, this person
crazy.
acting like a crazy person. But I think those are parts of me that he had to see. The light shining on me wasn't the whole story.
Right.
There's another side
Crazy.
There was another side that he had to see, and I think hopefully that solidified because I think at that point he was like, maybe God didn't tell him, but I'm glad that we had that experience, and I think I ended up calling because once again. It's good to have friends who are honest with you.
No, for sure.
And I had my friend, and she was like, I think he was really hurt by what you said. And I was like, well, if he can't take it, that's his business. As tall as he is, he should be able to take it. But then I had
you
to
said
come
as tall as he is?
Yes.
That's funny.
So I did call, and I was like, hey, are you okay? And I think that made it worse when I called, and I was like, you all right? I hope you're okay. Like, we can still be friends. We're going to... But it was important for him to see that. It was important to know what you're getting, what you're walking into, the crazy you're walking into, so that you know exactly what to expect. Because I think that night, I almost sealed my fate that night. But he came back. He came back.
Naturally, though, like you said, there's no relationship where the light is always going to be shining.
Right.
So you have to,
you
have to know what things are true red flags. And then what things, are just human,
Yeah, that's actually one of the questions.
Okay.
What were some of the deal breakers that someone dating now should know based on your past experience dating and what you guys have also observed other couples and stuff?
I think that if you have to constantly have your face made up, you have to be pretty all the time to be in that person's good graces, then that to me is a red flag because that's not real life.
That's not real you.
Another red flag is...
Wait, don't forget your second red flag. But is it fair if you start off that way and then all of a sudden we're going to use the phrase, let yourself go once you get into a relationship?
Mercy.
I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that's fair that once you kind of snag them, then all of a sudden...
You turn into a monster.
You turn into someone that they can't recognize. I don't think that that's fair for the other person. But I do think that it's the responsibility of the other person to see you in different settings. For them to see you when you're dolled up and when you're not. When you're at home, if you know that you want someone that can cook because you can't, then... find out if she can do it. Don't wait and say, you don't cook for me. Well, you need to find those things out early. I think time is the best way. I think jumping into relationships without seeing all of those things or falling in love without seeing all of those things, it's not genuine.
I think it's part of the dating process as well. That's why you don't want to start at a dinner table. You're at Ruth Chris. Everyone's going to wear their best. You want someone, you're like, we're going to Disney World. We're going to go do something. and you get to see them in different angles, different situations. They're seeing you in different angles in different situations. And then, like I said, you know, like Kay was just saying, you then develop that little body of what this person is, and you just have a good idea. Because truth of the matter is, once you get married, things completely, a new beast is created, you know. It's no longer Drew, it's Kay and Drew and Kay. And it's this entity, and then forever for the how many years again? 17? 17 years, for the next 17 years, you became something new. You're always learning and rediscovering. I mean, the one advice I got was, Andrew, marriage is a university you never graduate from.
Yeah.
So you're always learning, you know, you're always mowing the lawn, you're keeping everything fresh because she's changing, you're changing, and you're becoming more and more involved and intertwined, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's really fun.
I think developing friendships is so important in a relationship. That's why when you see us, we're always laughing and joking because that's just who we are. One more serious than the other most times, but that's our relationship. That's the dynamic that we have. But that was set forth from the very beginning.
Any other red flags? Anything like?
Flat out, I said number one, we're at a professional level. Look, if you're interested in someone else, say it. Yeah. And if I'm interested in someone else, I'll say it. And we won't lie to each other. We'll be honest. We're going to come into this like adults, and we're not going to do like everyone else do. Oh, this cheating this and this cheating that. Let's be honest. I mean, I'm not going to beat you. You're not going to beat me. Right. So let's not lie and put ourselves in bad situations. If you're interested in someone else, it's going to hurt, but I'm not going to force you to stay with me, and you can't force me to stay with you. So when we came into that with our eyes open and honesty, we're like, you know what? Okay, we're going to choose to be together.
Yeah.
And I think those things we established as just reasonable, respectful human beings. And I think bringing that realness into it, you put things in a better perspective, I think. And that's what it's been like for us. That's also, the one promise we made together.
Counseling, that's one thing that we always say for couples who are getting ready to get married, not just the pastor at your church, but someone who has a background in counseling, a degree in premarital counseling. Do that.
Or dating too. They have that weird.
They do have it for dating.
I would not. Yeah.
But we did premarital counseling, and there's so much that we learned within that 12-week program, and we couldn't set a wedding date until we had gone through those 12 weeks. And I remember our pastor, who is a counselor, he said, if
who was a counselor, we have a different. We're Mount Zion.
Our pastor at the time, who was a family counselor and a marriage counselor, he said, there are people who go through this 12-week program, and he's praying for the couples as he's going through counseling. And he's like, if the Holy Spirit tells me that you two are not a good fit, he said he won't perform the marriage.
You can get married, but I'm not going to marry you.
Because it would be a crime against his conscience to do that. Yeah. And so we had to take quizzes by ourselves, answering questions about ourselves. Real. And it was.
I passed all my.
But it was, I tell everyone who's getting ready to get married, you may love the person, however, do the work with the counseling. Find out what you're getting into. Because there are certain things that I learned in counseling that I wouldn't have known just even through our conversations. I wouldn't have learned it till probably way later. And then feel like I'm trapped at that point.
So let me ask this, and you can be as transparent as you would like. But what were some...
Are the children listening?
What were some of the surprisingly challenging things that you guys faced? Like something that you went through and you're like, wow, I didn't think that this would actually be like a challenge. Could be something little that like, wow, or something big, but what surprised you?
You want me to talk, or are you gonna go?
I'm trying to think if I should share it or not.
I'll say what I gotta say.
I don't know
he
if
said
my mom is
transparent.
listening. I don't know what's going on.
I'll be fine. I'll be like, okay. I'll say
you go first.
You want me to go first?
Go ahead. I think I know what you're going to say.
You don't know nothing about me.
Go ahead.
Sex.
I knew it.
Sex. Sex was really difficult in the first 5 years.
Yeah.
The only reason why it made it difficult was communication. Not communicating effectively, not understanding what he's going through, what she's going through. Sometimes we look at things in our own perspective, like why things aren't going the way I'd like it to go. Why isn't that doing the way I think it should go? And you also need to pick your friends. Stop touching me. I'm gonna finish what I'm saying.
I didn't touch you this
All right,
time.
so
You're doing good. You're doing good.
number one, don't. If you have single friends and you're married, leave them, because single friends are stupid. They are dumb, and they're gonna tell you to do things that make no sense. They're like, "Oh man, you should leave her, man. I'm invested. She got 3 kids. You got to get rid of your single friends. You got to get new friends, married friends with other people, and stuff like that. Because but I would say sex at initially at the year 5, because you're growing together, and then everyone has needs, and men are different. Initially, and then women later on, but they're not always like, and so sometimes like this, sometimes it's like that, but you gotta hold on. No, I'm just kidding. No. Seriously, that's true though. And so what we did is, I did something that was, I think Kay hinted to this earlier, but she didn't want to say it. I said it. There's times where you're like, man, I can't handle this anymore. But then the communication, and you realize, you know what, brothers, I would say all men, listen, talk and communicate. Put yourself in an uncomfortable position. Love and marriage is not supposed to be comfortable all the time. You got to put yourself in an uncomfortable position. I come from a background and a culture where Black Hispanic males are very machismo, and you're talking blah, 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 and you're talking and saying and stuff like that. And, you talk and she runs, or she, you don't even think about doing that. Now, I never really was like that, but I'm just saying still, you got to put yourself in an uncomfortable position, talk to her. And then you got to make her feel like she's in a safe space to communicate and talk with you. And then and then you learn as a man that sometimes a woman's not going to perform the way you want to, because she might not be in the headspace for that. You're not going to know that if you don't talk about it.
Sure.
You're not going to know. There's no book or manual for that. Those are things that you learn in life. You got to find out that for women, they're not like guys. They're just not up for it like that. You got to win their hearts. You got to win their minds. And by doing that, it can change. Remember what I said earlier that, you could tell a woman's happy, but stop touching me. You're looking at a woman happy by the fact she's smiling and stuff like that. It's because it's a mental thing. You've won her confidence, you won her security, and it will change. So usually it's reflective on what you're doing. So that would say sex was, and it's because of communication. So men, where we think we're supposed to be quiet, we need to put ourselves in an uncomfortable space. Sometimes we're making ourselves look stupid. And we feel like we're making ourselves, this isn't for men. It makes us think we're going to look weak. No, a weak man is the one that gives up. And he says, you know what? I'm going to get rid of her, and I'm going to get with the girl that worked at Burger King, because it was easier. So that's what I'll say, communication.
That's a word.
I would say same. That was just, as a mother who has daughters, and any of you that are listening that are mothers, one of the things that was taboo to talk about was sex and what it should look like in a marriage. We know that sex should only be in the marriage bed, but we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the needs that our husbands have. So when you walk in and there's an expectation there and you don't know it, you tend to ignore it. And then you're wondering, why are they acting this way, not knowing that their needs are not being met. And that was one thing that the one conversation that I had with my father regarding sex was, don't sit on boys' laps. And that was it. And then for my mother, it was, well, you have to do what you have to do.
Well, all right.
And that was it. And I said,
Do with it what you may.
I will take these keys.
And we just, I grew up always in the West Indian church, and it was just something that you didn't talk about. You knew that this is what happens in marriage, but you don't know what the needs of the man are. And I think it's important for you to know that before you get married. If you have daughters and sons, that should be a conversation that you have. It shouldn't be an off limits topic, because for me, it was a hindrance in the marriage. And when our marriage came to a pinnacle, it was over the area of sex. The needs weren't being met on both ends. And then that's where the communication had to come in. And that's where having single friends is hard, because it's just, they don't understand that struggle. Because she's like, if he's acting like that, then leave him. You can't leave him. Where am I going to go? Where's he going to go? So married friends are, stick it in there, go and talk to him. I had very good advice that from a friend, well, really from my sister. My sister, if you're watching, I love you for this. She wasn't married at the time, but she is older than me. She is older. And she said, go and find out what men want. If you can't talk to him about it, read about it. Because I am an avid reader. And then I went and I read about it. Things that I just didn't know. And then because Andrew's my friend, from reading, I came to him and said, I didn't know that this is what you were talking about. Because even with the communication, I still didn't understand, because I had no frame of reference other than him. And he was like, yeah, now you get it. And I was like, I get it now. I get it now. And from there, the communication had to be clear, because as females, there's certain times where we're just not in the mood. I hope this is not too
No.
transparent.
This is excellent. This is excellent.
There's sometimes
That's
where
what
you're
people
just
need
not
to
in the
hear.
mood, and you sometimes you have to let that go, because you can't let days pass where nothing is happening physically for your husband and for you. But I had to absorb the needs of what my husband needed. And then therefore his happiness made me happy, because he's my friend. And I always want my friend to be happy. So, but having that conversation, the single friends, I had to, at that point, we're still friends, but there's some conversations that they just don't understand. My married friends and my sister who is full of wisdom, because she's old, was able to say, listen, if you can't talk about it, read about it, so that you have a frame of reference.
Right.
And then once you know something, go and talk to him about it and see what he has to say. My mom, when I talked to her, she was like, something's going on. I just feel like something's going on with you and Andrew. Had no idea. I don't think I ever told you this. She said, something's going on with you and Andrew. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you're not talking about him like you normally do. Something's going on. And I didn't want to tell her because, I don't want to tell my mom that. And my mother said to me, he's a fine fish and there are some harbor sharks out there, so you better get yourself together. And even then I'm just like, what does that mean? But I went to Barnes and Noble, and I went into the area that's more taboo, talking about sex and sexuality, and I read, and I got knowledge that way. And then I was able to talk to him, who probably didn't have to go to the book to figure it out, but I did. And then that was, because at that point it was either the needs were going to be met for both sides, or we were going to have to separate, because we were at a pinnacle at that point.
Yeah.
Now, y'all said some good stuff. So, one, I have to say thank you, because even when we talked about this, not this episode, but the show, one of the inspirations for the show is that in church settings, there's not much discussion on these things. So like it's always, we'll know about prophecy, we'll know about Jesus, stuff like that.
Jewelry, modesty, all those
There's
topics
a lot
are
of emphasis on that.
completely.
Marriage is something that's like a reflection of even Christ, right?
Right.
The things of it, you just don't hear about much, and much less kind of like the equivalent of what you were saying, the simple rules that your parents gave you. It's like all we might hear is, don't do this until this. And even if that were the case, well, once I'm there, then what? Right. And because for so long, and thank God, it's like getting to a place where it's no longer
Taboo.
taboo like that, because I think there's just been enough evidence of how families aren't happy, couples, like things are falling apart the same way that it is in the world. Like I think now church is taking it a little bit more serious, but we need this so that whatever the previous generations went through,
Right.
we shouldn't have to fall in that same track
pit.
because people didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
So that was huge. So thank you for that. And one thing I picked up from what you were saying, especially UK, is the length that you went to make this work. Right? Like you guys tried to communicate at first, not necessarily understanding fully. You talked to someone that might have some wisdom, or someone talked to you, and then from there, they gave you some counsel. So that's why it's important to have the right people around
Right.
you.
Yeah.
And Kay went to books. That's how much she cared about making sure that she did her part in the relationship. And a lot of times it is a selfish thing in relationships of like, oh, you're not making me happy, you're not satisfying my needs, but to what extent do you look inside and say like, what can I do
Right.
to bring something different to the table? And you don't realize often that in turn the other person sees that too and then works on themselves at the same time.
Right.
Sometimes people don't want to be the first person, like they don't want to like, I don't know, swallow a pill and be like,
Yeah.
swallow the pride, but someone has to do it. And then the result is, what we have here today. So yeah, definitely thank you for sharing that. That's huge. And I think even in what we see in different groups, like that's like what was it? Somewhere I think I watched, they said like the top 3 things that'll break apart a relationship is sex, children, and finances.
Wow.
Three F's: the faith, family, and finances.
Oh, okay.
Learn that in premarital counseling.
Make sure you go. But yeah, and we have a part 2. So there's going to be stuff that we don't even get to that
sure.
y'all stay tuned, because we're going to tell you where part 2 is coming.
Sweet.
But I want to ask you this as kind of like the wrapping up of it. What would you say to a person that's either going to be in the future in a relationship or currently in a relationship going through it? So you gave an example, and that might not be everyone as example, but I feel like a lot of times you're surrounded by social media, you're surrounded by friends that's just like, get out of there. Like, and we're not talking about abusive situations or
Right.
anything
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. We're just talking about challenges that I feel like we've heard it from our parents' generation and stuff, like there's been challenges. But what do you say to those people where there's exits everywhere? How do they deal with some of these challenges that come with relationships? What would you say is like the most important things to remember?
Like, what kind of challenges are we looking at? Like, you said
Not
exit.
abusive.
So like with the phases, right? They're in that
Rocky.
disillusionment decision phase where like they're noticing like, okay, these are the issues that we have. Like we
Oh,
always
wow.
come back
Oh,
around to like this.
actually-
How do we get through this
Patch.
point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that's actually an easy answer right there, actually. That's an easy answer. All right.
Go ahead.
All right.
I think I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
All right. You're with your mate or the person you're interested in, and if you see the worst attribute about them that drives you bananas, you ask yourself, can I live with that, whether they change or not?
Oh boy.
If your answer is, I cannot live with that unless they change, leave that person and run for the hills.
Absolutely.
But if you know you can go past them not changing, him from dropping his socks on the floor.
Have mercy, Jesus.
If that crazy man, that crazy 6'6" dude, leaves the socks on the floor and he doesn't change that, even after 17 years, do you think you can get past it? If you cannot get past the socks on the floor if you can't get past the clutter. I'm like, hey, say no name, get no blame. I say that. If that person does not change, will you be able to get past it? If so, then move forward 100%. If not, and Shane was talking about it a second ago, he hinted to it. Listen, our job is not to change anybody. Marriage, let me just tell you right now, marriage counseling is not for me knowing her. Once again, marriage counseling is not for me to know her. Marriage counseling is for me to know me in this marriage. How do I need to learn what my problems are and how I can cope with it. So if they don't change, can I get over it? Can I love them in spite of? And if I can, yeah, move forward full speed. That's what I say. So that was the easiest question y'all gave me tonight.
I was gonna say the exact same
Oh, you
thing.
were just like,
Copycat.
If you can't get past the jokes all the time, no, I'm joking. But same thing. If you can't get past the worst that they've presented to you, take time to see the worst. You know, don't. As women, we tend to look at things with the rose-colored glasses. He does this, but over time he'll change. Chances are that's not going to happen.
I'm never gonna.
There's certain rough edges that are smoothed out in marriage, but the frame is still the same. That's not going to go away. So look for those things. Previous relationships will help guide what you want and what you don't want. Know what you want. Don't get married to someone and then find out later it's not what you wanted. Know what you want if marriage is what you're looking for in that person.
Books everywhere. Put the books away.
Listen, some people deal with socks, some people have to deal with books. But if he can deal with it, and I can deal with it, then it's worth it. But don't overlook it. Spend some time, get to know their family, because learning about their family gives you a great insight into who they are. I have a very good relationship with his family, so they're very good people. So, good people. I met his mom before she passed. She was just an excellent person to just sit and talk to. So get to know all of that first. Don't take this person on face value. Get to know who they hang around, who they're with, what they're like when they're angry, when they're not. What do they like to do on their own? Is this a person who likes to travel, who likes to go places, or do they like to stay at home? And if you can live with them staying at home all the time when you like to travel, then go in that direction. If they don't like to go, then, and you know that this is what you want to do, think twice. Don't overlook anything.
We got to add that to our next show of the part about how important is the person's family in your decision making.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
key one.
important. You need to know if there's mental illness in their family. You need to know what diseases run in their
How
family.
does the wife treat the father?
That's
how
true.
that woman treats her husband is how that woman you dating gonna treat you. So that's just a window into the house. So you ever want to know if that woman's right for you? Look at her mama and daddy, and if she just cussing him out, you need to run.
Lots of things to consider.
Well, lots of things. Okay. Now this has been good. So we have our Talk to the Walk segment, and we want to remind you that on the walk, we have something. You go to thewalklive.org. And I'm talking to this like this is the camera. This is the camera. So you can go to thewalklive.org, and there's a section that's called Talk to the Walk, and you can submit your questions anonymously. It doesn't have to be on topic. Anything you want to talk about, go ahead and put it in there. It could be on the show. So today's question is, how early should you talk intentions of marriage while dating? How early?
I like that question.
I think it depends on the age of the person. I think
It's good.
the younger you are, the more you want to take time. However, as you get older, when you're sure or have an idea of what you want and you don't want based on life experience, then it may go a little bit faster than someone starting in their early 20s.
Gotcha.
Okay. So let's just give you an example. So if you're dating at 25, What time frame do you think would be ideal to start talking about marriage?
I really do think it's person to person. It depends on the maturity level of the person. It depends on where they are in their life. Have they accomplished some of the things that they want to do? For me, I had graduated from college. I already had a job lined up, so I had things already together. So I'm thinking about marriage would have been the next step. However, if I'm still going through college and I'm still trying to get where I want to be, then I probably am not going to think about marriage seriously at that time.
Someone says you should talk marriage from jump.
Oof.
I don't know if I would talk about it from the very beginning. I think you need to learn more about that person.
Yeah, you need to know if you want to marry them in the first place at all,
Exactly,
you know?
because initially what you see is what's on the outside. He's handsome, she's pretty, okay. That's the first attraction. I'm not going to talk about marriage with that person. I need to know more before I can say yay or nay.
So maybe you shouldn't date someone that you're like, I can't talk about marriage with. So maybe it should not move from talking, if that's a stage, to officially exclusive dating if you can't talk about that from the jump.
It's something to know. If you're saying that I want to be married, then yes. From the beginning, this is what I'm looking for. I do want to be married. If you have a time frame and all of those things, yes, but like I said, it depends on the age. At 22, 23, talking about marriage initially, that's a little bit too much. However, if I'm in my 30s and 40s and 50s and I'm talking about marriage, it's not a foregone conclusion at that point, because I've accomplished enough in my life to say I would love to get married at this point. And if they're not, then you know that I'm not going to waste my time because I don't have that much time left.
I'd say I completely disagree with everything she said.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
No, I disagree. I think you should go right to jump. Don't waste anybody's time. I think the problem is a lot of people just go right into dating. No, know the person and be friends. My mother used to tell me this back in the day when I was in high school. She don't like that. She don't like me having girlfriends. She said, don't have no girlfriends, have friends. Have friends. And you get to know each other on a whole bunch of different levels. You start dating when you realize that person is the direction you're going in. Don't waste people's time. Be friends. She might run into someone else that's serious. And now she over here fooling around with you. Because you're trying to see if you gonna get your roller skates. Listen, what you got to do is, the whole point is, don't get into the dating game unless you see this person as a real prospect. Don't waste time. Secondly, it's not about an age thing. It's 100% about a maturity thing, because you don't want to go into any type of relationship half. You want to make sure you're securing yourself before you get into anything. That's the key. The key is, I'm not going to go into someone for them to fulfill me. Okay? If I got things that I'm wrestling with that I need to get together, I'm going to get that together before I get with her. I'm going to get that before I get with him. It's going to be that same type of thing. So it's not about an age thing, because Kay and I got married. I was 28. She was 25. So, and you know how they say women mature faster than guys? That's 100% incorrect. That's not true. That's 100% incorrect. It's just that men mature differently, and women mature differently. And so a woman might be more prepared for marriage at a certain age, because women are different. They're just smarter. And guys, we're more different. We're physical. We just grow differently. That being said, it's about completeness. When you find yourself in a position where you're more secure in yourself and you don't have to worry about someone completing you, you are then ready to add to your life, not someone completing it.
I agree with that.
So Kay is 100% wrong.
To sum up, right?
Age does come maturity a lot of the time. So
That is funny. Now you guys are talking again on here. So the only reason to date is marry. Facts. Don't date short and marry long keeps you out of sin. Okay. I listened to something this week that was just like, don't burn. You know, so I guess that could be what they're talking about. Desmond Hunt said you may scare the person if the conversation of marriage is too soon. That's an interesting thought. Let's see. Melinda said, is there a such thing as bringing up God, faith, religion too quickly when dating?
No.
Absolutely not.
Bring it up. They
That's what
should
I'm
know
about.
that from the very beginning. If that's what you're about, then you shouldn't be afraid to bring it up. If they're not about that and they're not looking for that to be anywhere on their horizon, then they're not worth your time.
So let me add to that. So some people's strategy with that question is to see if the other person brings it up. So they don't want them to be a bandwagon, like, oh, you know what? I saw her reading her Bible in church, you know, like let me start, you know I'm going to start talking to her about God. The strategy with this potentially would be to see if Drew talks about God on his own. Do you think that's a good strategy?
I'll be honest with you, I think they can't hide it if you take them a different place. Remember we were talking about in the beginning, going in different modes, going in different places. God is everywhere. His imprint is everywhere. And so there's no facet in life that does not have a Christian perspective. So you're going to find out what they're about real quick if you were looking for that. So
it won't matter if you bring it up or not, because
it don't matter. You'll know their perspective. If they're coming from behalf, like, if they're coming from, listen, don't touch me. All right, so listen, the reality is, the reason why you want to do this, you want to make sure you're in line with each other, so that's why it's not a disaster. Right. If you're a crackhead, you're not going to work well without someone addicted to crack too. Why? Because when you're going through your little crack desire, you got to be with someone who understands that desire for crack. You can't have a crackhead with an accountant. Why? Because an accountant needs the money, and they are frugal about money. Crackheads just need crack. So they're going to have conflict. I know those analogies are crazy, but the reality is you got to be worshiping the same thing. It don't always have to be God. And don't run. What I'm saying is God created us to worship. He created us to worship. If we're not worshiping him, we're worshiping something. So wherever your focus is, you got to have someone of the same focus, or it's not going to work. It doesn't matter how mature you are. It doesn't matter how handsome she is, or he is, or how beautiful she is. If you guys are not worshiping or don't have the same drive for the same thing, you're going to have a problem. So take them in different facets. Who they are is going to show no matter what. You're going to find out if he's a Muslim, if she's a Buddhist, if she's an Israelite, he's an Israelite and he wants you to be a part of his harem. You're going to find out really quick. So just take them in different modes, learn who they are. They're going to tell you. They're going to reveal themselves. They can't hide it. One thing I'll tell you in my career, retired from the fire department after 24 years, but I've learned fire and rescue and, EMS and all that. What I've learned is when you're with someone constantly all the time, you can't hide who you are anymore. I'm with you for 24 hours. If you fart in your sleep, we're gonna know about it. If you talk in your sleep, you're gonna know about it. If you cuss or you smoke or you drink, it's gonna reveal itself. You can't hide it. And that's the reason why you wanna know each other individually for a good amount of time before the dating starts. That way, when I know we start the dating process, I know what I'm dealing with.
And initially it does come up because Andrew and I, we met on a Sabbath.
Right.
So we went to church and then we went to someone's house for lunch, and we were able, and this is the springtime, so the days are longer. We were able to keep up a conversation about Christian-esque things without it becoming stagnant or veering over to something else. And so that let me know that, okay, well, there's some knowledge in there about God, and it's in there because the conversation just kept going, and it just wasn't us two talking. It was, other people in the conversation, and you want to listen to what they're saying. You'll know if they know that there's a second Genesis. Well, none of them exist. So you learn, and then it should come up organically, and it should come up from the very beginning. And don't wait for it to come up. Initiate it and see what they say. If they're taken aback by it, then you know what you're dealing with. If they lean into it, you know that they're interested. Don't wait.
Love that. Good answers. You guys got to submit these questions. Like I said, we have something coming up that Andre's going to talk about, but we want you to know that we're back for the new season, right? So season 2 is here. We have more. I think we kicked off in a really strong way with Drew and Kaye. So we have more every third Friday of every single month. So Andre's actually going to tell you about our next show.
Yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this one, you're definitely going to enjoy the next one, because we're going to kind of do a part 2 where we have not just one couple, we're going to have a panel of couples, some that are earlier in their relationships, some that are a bit more seasoned in their relationships, and we'll give them some questions to gauge their thoughts on things, get different perspectives. I think we're going to have a lot of great conversations. I've already, even in preparing for this, I've thought of some good questions I wanted to ask you guys, but I'm like, no, it's going to be really good. It's going to be good to get multiple opinions. But
Yes,
hearing you guys'
definitely,
opinions, I was like, man, I know I'd get some good opinions here. But yeah, so that's going to be next month, the third Friday, and it's going to be live. So we're not going to do it live online. We're going to do it live in person.
In person, audience
yeah,
time.
we're gonna have audience. So if our audience wants to have questions, and we're gonna have that all set up. So definitely, if you guys want to be there in person, it's gonna be here at our church.
Where's our church?
Obviously, I'm gonna say it. So give me a second. We are at 2123 North Smith Street in Kissimmee, Florida, 34746.
4.
What, really?
744.
They changed it. They changed it recently. That's what happened. Yeah, it's gonna be on March. Let me not say March 15th next month, in person. So we're looking forward to. It's gonna be our first in person The Walk episode. We will post it afterwards for those that can't make it.
Yay.
But if you can't make it in person, it's gonna be a great time. So you want to come out?
Yeah, I'm excited for this. And also, we have a worship experience that we're partnering with the conference on. It's called Revive. It's March 29th. It's a Friday night. Information is coming soon. It's going to be in Orlando. So mark the date, March 29th. It's going to be a Friday night of worship. You're not going to want to miss it. And then one more thing we want to share, that we have a quick commercial we want to show you for our youth and young adults. So that's right. The Encounter is back. We had it last year with our youth and young adults. It was a success, and we're doing it again. So the details, September. Saturday. Now I don't even remember the date. What is the date? Saturday?
It's gonna be February
24th. Okay. Saturday, February 24th. We are going to be here. We're going to have church as usual. Then right after, we're going to meet in room number 4 in the main building. We're going to have the Encounter ages 18 through 35. We're going to have some real conversations. It was good last time, and we can't wait to have it again. So we have some stuff for our youth and young adults all throughout the year. And I think we just talked about February and March. So we want you to be a part of it.
Yes.
You can know the details. Text the number 81010. So get a text message out. Up, new, 81010. Put in the message the @ MZY. So 81010 @MZY. That's how you're going to know what's coming up next for our youth and young adult ministries. But we want to thank you so much for joining us today on The Walk. We want to thank our guests again.
Thank you.
As always, thank you. You're always welcome here.
Don't be weird.
And before, Jody's like, we're not invited, Vera.
We're doing the math. We don't fit that group.
That's funny. I mean, it's different when you got to start spinning the years. I'm at that stage too. It's crazy. But anyway, we are going to pray us out. Andre, do you want to take it this time?
Sure.
All right.
Father in heaven, we're thankful that we have been able to have this episode. We're thankful that Drew and Kaye were able to join us. Thankful to start off this second season strong with a great topic, keeping things open and honest and transparent. We're asking God that someone would have been blessed by this episode, that someone would have been learned something new, their eyes opened about something that could have helped people either in their current relationship, future relationships, getting out of a bad relationship. We're just asking that this won't just stop here, but that people will be able to share it with others, and it'll be a blessing for them as well. God, you know all of our next planned events and endeavors. We're asking that you will be intimately involved in the planning and execution of it, and that will be a success as well. And in the end, many people will be drawn closer to you from it. Keep us all safe throughout this night, and we're thanking you in advance for all that you're going to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank y'all. We appreciate you. Whoa. Before you go, make sure you like us on all social media platforms at The Walk Live, and find us on any of your favorite podcast platforms. Our journey doesn't have to end here. Join us on the next walk.